Good morning, Enneagram people. It is, God, what time is it? It's like 8:30 this morning, here in Minnesota. You guys probably all know we got some snow. So we were bundling up our kids this morning. We were shoveling our driveways and we were saying, what the heck? We have snow and it hasn't been Halloween yet. So that's kind of where I'm starting off today. I want to welcome you guys to our live this morning. It's the earliest one I've done so far, but I was excited to talk about the Enneagram this morning and typing. So maybe you were one of the people who completed the assessment. So I had sent out the Enneagram assessment for therapists, and in that assessment, we had what's your superpower? So what is your superpower? What's your possible type, etc. And then you also got an email from me that said, hey, tests are not good at typing. And you're like, probably like, WTF, Leslie? Like, why are you sending me an assessment and then telling me that it's not a good way to type? Because it's not. But assessments can be a great way for you to start to get to know the Enneagram, because knowing your type is the first step to implementing this in your practice. So if you're pretty sure, like, hey, I'm interested in this Enneagram thing and I want to find out what is going on with it and I want to learn how to bring it to my clients, you need to find out your type. You do. Hey, Brooke, so good to see you. Hey, Cheryl, we got Brooke, Enneagram 9, Cheryl, Enneagram 6 on here today. And you guys, you know whose birthday it is today? It's Lindsay Frazier's birthday. So we want to give a big old happy birthday to our Enneagram 9 Wing 1, Lindsay Frazier. Hope you're living it up today. Watching those babies at home, I'm sure. Or maybe helping your clients. Like if it's not one thing, it's another. Great. So talking a little bit more about typing. So maybe you did, hey Eileen, whoop, 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 Enneagram 7. Maybe you went ahead and did that assessment online, and I loved it because I know a lot of you guys already know your types. And so a lot of you told me like, hey Leslie, I got my type. And a few of you were like, no, I didn't get my type. So it was pretty exciting for me. And I want to share a few of those results too, because it's just an exciting thing to kind of get the statistics in. And even though my test was not super advanced, some of the logic and some of the things that I predicted were true on that test. So that was cool. But anyway, back to typing. Like, hey, the Enneagram is 9 types. And in order for you to even want to start to bring this to your practice, you need to know your types. Like in particular, I think the best place to start is to know your individual type. So if you're kind of wavering, like, I don't know my type, I think I'm this, I'm not sure, join the workshop. I am committed to helping you discover your type. My goal would be for you to know your type even before you go to the workshop. And guess what, guys? We have an entire month left for me to help you figure out your type. Now, generally those sessions are $150. That's for 50-minute session. You get it at $97, and you get to have tons of fun with all these amazing women out there, and a couple of guys. I think we're gonna have some guys at this workshop, guys, who are into the Enneagram. So step one is you have to know your Enneagram stuff. If you don't know your stuff, you can't go bring this to your clients. Here's what I've seen, guys. I've seen therapists do this. I've seen therapists send out a test because their client is interested in the Enneagram. And it's sort of one of those things where I'm like, oh gosh, please don't do that. Please do not do that. It's sort of like, sending the sheep to slaughter. You're giving your client an ineffective way to discover something that's really amazing, because the test will lie. Tests lie. They lie. If you read the email I sent out, guess what I tested as? A 7. And this was a pretty thorough test. I believe the test that I had taken was like the full-on Rizzo Hudson test. So this was a test that was tested for reliability, and it was tested for like accuracy, and it got it wrong. So guys, people pick what they want to be. They don't pick what they are. So, first off, knowing the types is kind of what you need to start with. So, know your type and then start to learn the other types. And don't send your clients to go take a test. Please don't do that. You don't have enough knowledge about it if you're doing that. That's not a good idea. Please do not do that, because your client will think, wow, I'm an Enneagram 3 and I'm an Enneagram 7, Leslie. Like, I'm a 3 and a 7. I'm like, no. No, you are not both types. We are only one type. And we don't change our type. So this other thing, just like your nervous system, you are born with this nervous system, right? And I believe the nervous system expresses our type. So just like you're born with this nervous system, your nervous system has particular preferences. Fight, flight, freeze, right? So those are some of those particular preferences. These preferences lead to personality development, which also, hey, Enneagram. Enneagram is right up in there, guys. So your Enneagram doesn't change. You become healthier and you look different, right? But your Enneagram type doesn't change. I promise you this. Brooke and I have talked about this before, and we kind of giggle because it's like, no, no, you can't be a 7 and a 1. Like, you can't be both. So we got to figure out which one is you. Like, which one is you? Okay, so the other thing with this too is that you want to know also, like, the other types, because the other types are going to help you figure out your type. Now, when you know what the other types are, you're going to start picking up on what your clients might be. And why is the Enneagram so great? Because it works with any therapeutic model. Remember, it's a personality assessment. It's like an assessor of that nervous system, an assessor of those early childhood wounds. Why is it? Because it tells us, like, hey, these types pick certain things, they pick certain strategies to deal with stress, to deal with conflict, to deal with trauma. Certain types deal with trauma differently. Like an 8 deals with trauma way differently than a 9. You're going to see different reactions in both. A 6 deals with trauma differently than an 8. You will see different reactions from both. Here's this other cool thing that you're going to see. You're going to see diagnostic criteria. So you will see diagnostic criteria for the different types once you get to know them. And it's really, 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 really phenomenal. It's like such a shortcut, guys. So I really want you to have this. Okay, so knowing the types is like the first step. And knowing the types is sort of like part of what we're going to do in the workshop. I'm going to have you start figuring out, like, what do these types look like? A, we are going to figure out your type. I'm committed to figuring out your type. B, we're going to start you on the process, on the Enneagram journey of learning these other types. What else will we be doing? When we're thinking about typing and mistyping. Okay, so if you're like, I think I'm a 6, Leslie, and I'm like, oh man, this lady is not a 6, she's a 3. I'll be like, okay, yeah, I mean, I can see where you have a lot of those characteristics. Have you checked out what your integration number would be and your disintegration? Or have you checked out what your stress number is or your triad is? So when you hear triad, that means each type is connected to 2 other types. What that means is when the type becomes overwhelmed, when the type can no longer use their normal nervous system strategies to deal with life, they'll go to a new type. They'll use a completely new strategy. What an 8 does when they're stressed is they go to Enneagram 5. Now, 8 is your challenger. Your challenger. We got one in the White House, guys. You know what a challenger looks like. I'll leave my other opinions there. You know what a challenger looks like. When a challenger goes to stress, they back up. Right? Because they go to Enneagram 5. And Enneagram 5s are in their head. They're in their head, they're in their body, they're observing. Now, the way an Enneagram 5 observes and the way an Enneagram 8 observes is so different. An 8, I'm observing to see who's a threat. It's so funny. It is. It's like you're observing to see who's a threat. If you're on a plane, you want like 5 8s around you, because if anybody's gonna mess with that plane, those 8s are gonna get up and they're gonna kick some booty. So 5s observe, to get knowledge. Like they observe to get knowledge and they really want to be right. They really want to be right. And they want to be right from like a I can back it up. I can back it up perspective. As an 8, I don't really care. It's horrible to say. This is so grandiose, guys. Sorry. You people who know the pit model, you're gonna call me out, but what does it mean? Okay. As an 8, I don't really care if I can back it up because it's about my gut. It is about my gut. And that brings us to that other triad, guys. Each number is driven by a different part of the body. And this again comes back to our nervous system. And if you're a therapist, I guarantee you are picking up on this stuff already with your clients. Like, wow, this client is really head heavy. Wow, they are not feeling focused. Like if you're feeling that, you're going to want to look for one of the types that's in the head triad and that is missing in their integration number and disintegration number. You're going to look for one that is missing the feeling triad. And some of the numbers are. The 5 in particular is. The 5 goes to 7 in stress, so another head type, and they go to 8 in growth, so they do head and body. 5s don't like to feel. Anybody had some 5s in therapy? I'm pulling from my pool, but 5s are fascinating. They are fascinating, but man, they are head heavy. And I love you guys. I love you 5s, but you are head heavy. You're head heavy, and I think you know it. And 5s in particular, what I've experienced, right, is they don't want to feel those feelings. Like they will kind of almost do a very defensive posture, and it'll be defensive posture though from logic, which is almost a little harder to deal with because like give me a feeler any day because I can work with that feeler. With the logic, you have to really be consistent. You have to be consistent to get through to those Enneagram 5s. Okay, I feel like I'm digressing, guys. Okay, the types have a lot of similarities. They do. So this is why people mistype themselves all the time. They will see these characteristics and think, wow, I want those characteristics. So I'm an 8. I have a really strong 7 wing. I read the 7 and I'm like, I want to be a 7. 7 sounds so fun. Everybody wants to be around them. Nobody's scared of them. They're not too much. They're not up in your face. None of that stuff, right? None of that stuff that I think 8s can feel a lot of shame around. But it is obvious, to people who know the Enneagram that, nope, I'm an 8. And especially before therapy, I looked like an 8. So knowing your types is so helpful. When it comes to typing too, it's all about internal motivation. What motivates the types? So if you're in this Facebook group with me, I am popping out these pain points because the pain points are motivators. Think about it. What really motivates your clients? Well, if they're 9s, they want the pretty picture, right? I have to motivate 9s not with fear. Can't do that. So I have to keep reminding my 8 self, no, fear doesn't work. Is to use the motivation, the pain points. So because 9s want to feel that peace, they want to know it's harmonious, they want to know it's going to feel good, that it's going to have ease to it, right? Painting the picture of what can be is so important. So I've noticed this and learned this over the years in therapy. So you don't have to make the same mistake if you're an 8 or if you're an asserter type, that actually using any of those pain points in ways that are too assertive can be a lot for 9s. Okay, so internal motivation is so big. It's so big with typing. When we are typing as well, I started to talk about this a little bit, we want to consider the triads. Now, when people say triad, the first triad that they're talking about is like the body. Okay, why did I say body? Because it's really like 8, 9, and 1. They are the gut triad. So these are people that are a little more body focused. You're going to usually experience them as more grounded. You're generally going to experience them too as having having a focus around the feeling of anger. Now, the heart triad is our next numbers. It's 2, 3, and 4. With those heart triad people, they are heart. They are heart. So they are feelers. You can tell. You can tell when they're in here. Now, the one thing with the 3 that'll sometimes throw me off is it's sort of like feeling gone to sleep. They will overthrow feeling like nobody's business to achieve because their worth is so wrapped up in that performance that there's no room for feeling. So, of those types, they are the repressed feeling type. 2 is the expressed, and 4 is the internalized. So, 4s are kind of the retreat type, but 4s, right? Guess what, guys? 4s are also reactors. So, when we talk triads, we're not only talking the gut triad, the heart triad, and our head triad. We're talking about our reactors, right? So we have our reactive types. We're talking about our positive approach types. Eileen, you're a positive approach type. And we're talking about our competency types. Enneagram 3, Enneagram 1, they are our competency types, right? So our reactor types, do you guys know who they are? An 8. Oh yeah, I'm a big old reactor. You too? Any 8 ladies out there? I love it. We have so many 8 therapists. It makes me so happy. Okay, so the 8s, the 6s. You guys are my reactor type. I love it. I love it. I get it. So this is why sometimes reactor types you can mistype. So sometimes 6s get mistyped as an 8. Sometimes 8s, I don't know. Sometimes they can get mistyped as a 6. 4. 4s are third reactor type, but 4 is also a retreater. So 4s, like, they used to throw me the heck off. Not so much in my therapy practice because they're great. They just like share everything. It's so fun and easy. You don't have to pull anything out of a 4. They just tell you. But in my personal life, because man, 4s will come in and they'll react. And as an 8, you're like, whoa, oh man, they are calling me to the carpet. Like, those are fighting words. Like, I got to defend myself. And actually, 4s are not like that. They're retreaters. So that's been something really fascinating that I've learned over the years. I laugh about how I've learned it, but I'll keep that to myself, guys. I'll keep that to myself. So we want to consider those triads, and I'm going to talk about those a little bit in the workshop as well. Well, guys, that's kind of like the mistyping. And what do we need to know first? So first, go back to learning your type. Learn your type, learn your type, learn your type, learn your type. A test will not help you learn your type. It won't help you. Come to the workshop. I promise you it will help you learn your type, because we have a fair amount of people in this workshop too. I'm so excited, who are really like super well trained in the Enneagram. Like, they probably know more than me. So I'm excited. I'm excited to have them there. And in the workshop too, you'll have some people that know their type. So you're going to be like, ooh, when someone knows their type and they tell on themselves, it's the most amazing thing. It just makes me so happy because you get data. You get data as a therapist of like, ooh, this is what they're thinking. Ooh, I have a 9. This is what they're thinking. So, I'll just disclose this, Brooke. I hope you don't get mad. We used to get together and just talk about our different clients and be like, I'd be like, Brooke, I have a 9 client. What do I do? And she's like, oh, they're in apathy. I was like, what? What is apathy? I'm an 8. I don't get apathy. Like, I get attack. I do not get apathy. So I loved that. I loved that about working with other therapists who know this. It's so fun. It is so fun. And I love too to meld these types with the inner child healing model, which is like trauma. I love doing trauma. And I'm kind of curious if other 8s do too. So to end it off today, maybe there's some 5s in the audience. Anyway, so when I did this online test, guys, can you guess what my top type was? And I want you to think about like, hey, what do you think the demographic for this test was? Females. It was females. So do you guys know culturally what females usually will type at? if they're dealing with cultural influence. Anybody, come on, guys, say it live. Say it live. What do you guys think women think they are supposed to be? What type? They think they are supposed to be the caretakers. So, guess what I have an overwhelming amount of in this test? Enneagram 2. Enneagram 2. I promise you, there are not that many 2s out there, but there are that many 6s. There are that many 6s. So, the most common type. So, when in doubt, 6 and out. When in doubt, 6 and out. 6s too will mistype themselves a lot. They'll like, oh, what am I? What am I? If someone isn't sure, I'd look at 6 or 9. Look at 6 or 9. Usually with 4, they're so unique that you can kind of smell them from a mile away. So I think about your unique people, like these people that are just like so outside the box sometimes that they're fascinating creatures. Fascinating creatures. Those are your 4s. They are the least common of all the types. So women will predominantly show as 2s. Enneagram 2 is what we are taught to be, and we just aren't. Now, here's a common one too, guys. When you get into this and you decide, yeah, I'm ready to apply it to my practice. If a female types as a 2, look at 9. Look at 9. Because female 9s historically will show as 2s on tests. So if you do use a test, she's probably a 9. I'm sorry. I'm such an 8. I'm such an 8. Sorry, guys. Okay. So that would be a really common mistyping. Now, mistypings for men, if they show as an 8, if a man shows as an 8, you want to rule out 6 and you want to rule out 2. Okay? You want to rule out 6, rule out 2. So that's another just rule you want to keep on board, guys. Well, I could talk forever. Apparently, I'm totally fine with my own company. Good news, the therapy worked. But I'm so excited, and I hope we have so many of you at our workshop, and I love the ones who are coming. I see a lot of your names over here today watching. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for checking us out. Me, myself, and I. But really, I do have a teenager on board, I have a functional adult, and I have a wounded child. So yeah, it is an us. It is an us party. And I can't wait to see you on the 21st. So this is coming up, guys. I am making that workbook. And if you sign up for the early bird, you get the workbook. And I think the workbook's pretty flippin' awesome. So don't hesitate. Sign up, get in there. And we'll see you soon. And I am going to reach out to some of you guys because I want to start interviewing people for the podcast. So if you're like, yeah, Leslie, interview me, let me know. Or if you have questions, or if you have an idea about what you want me to do a podcast on, let me know. Because I love your ideas. I love them. Okay, guys, take care. Bye-bye.